Long COVID Foundation podcast. My name is Dr. Valentina Viduta, and I'm Long COVID Foundation trustee. This channel is for Long COVID sufferers, researchers, practitioners, and a whole host of other people who wants to learn more on COVID. Thank you for joining our Facebook group. Everyone is welcome to join our group. Here you can find the support you need and advice from scientists and medical practitioners. We can fight it together, whether you are a sufferer or wants to support us financially. You can find the link to our GoFund page below the video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, like our videos. There are more people out there who wants to be heard. So please join our Facebook group. We join our forces together so our voice is stronger and is heard. Today we have invited long COVID sufferers who were delighted to share their stories to our channel. We got Paul Larkin, who is an occupational therapist. Paul, glad to see you contacted us to share your story. So could you please tell how you get on now and tell a little bit more who you were prior to the COVID? How was your life back then?
Sure, and thank you for inviting me too. Before I was, my kind of work background is mental health for about 20 years, and I'd about 2 years ago recently qualified as an occupational therapist and continue to practice as that, or currently off sick. But I'd say 4 months ago when I first contracted COVID, I was working, I'd got a promotion, I've got back into fitness for about 4 to 5 years. I did a longer course of 4 years in university. So during that time, I started to focus very much on occupations of myself as well. So I became very fit, ended up doing half marathons, felt probably at the peak of, I'm now 52, but I'd say before this, I probably felt at the peak and I wasn't as healthy. So yeah, definitely I felt in a really good, positive place. Had just got a promotion, and then end of last year, beginning of this year, I caught COVID. I wasn't hospitalized. I wasn't, I would say, acutely ill. I felt fairly mild symptoms. I didn't feel very well. And then from that, I got better, what I thought got better. And then the third week, I stabilized, and my current role was I care coordinate in the community in the London Borough as a mental health practitioner. So I carry a caseload. I also do OT work as an additional caseload. So I was doing some of that from home. So I was getting a lot of support from work. So I managed to continue working from home initially as part of my recovery. Within 2 weeks of doing quite mentally challenging work, I crashed and burned. I felt the fatigue started to come on, everything started to come back. The brain fog during meetings, doing a lot of video calls like this, where I'm doing MDT, multi-professional meetings, I would just crash and burn halfway through. My brain fog, the cognitive function, the memory recall. I have to remember a lot of things and organize quite a few things with the caseload and, keep on top of that to work. And I started to lose, as a registered clinician, I started to feel unsafe in my practice. So I had to really just say to everyone, look, I can't do this. And then from that, that was probably 2 months ago or a month and a half. It's just continued where I feel the fitness, I thought I'd slowly do the pacing and grading, which OTs do as part of recovery. And I'm an absolutely rubbish patient on myself, but I just found it impossible to gauge where I am in this, what's happening. The doctors were helpful to a point, but no information, there's no real guidance. I just had to sit at home and deal with it. And I just kept trying to do light jogs, trying to get healthy, do very simple exercises, and would end up feeling very fatigued, headaches. I have a background condition of reactive arthritis, which it triggered. And I know I'm currently going through tests for that, but I started to get joint pain, which I still have, and I'm on painkillers for that. And I must say, I probably found, and I spoke to both you and Neil before, the psychological and emotional aspect in the sense of loss of my identity, really. I don't feel safe. I no longer feel safe to practice in my role at my current level of function. I can't run more than I just jogged for 10 minutes and I'm completely out of breath and have to take probably an hour or two to sit down. So a real loss of identity. And as an occupational therapist, a sense of identity is what we try to form confidence, the term self-efficacy, your belief in your ideas to what you can and can't achieve. And that has been a huge impact. And that's kind of where I kind of reached out to you guys and sort of thought, what's out there? And because I think this seems to be what long COVID's doing. There's a lot of people, the research is in early days. So a lot of people are just reaching out to media, and that's hence what I did.
Thank you, Paul, for sharing this great story. And we're here to support you in any way we can. And now we go to Neil Robinson. Neil, you have a story of catching COVID twice.
Yeah.
So could you please share it with us? Because it's quite a significant impact on your health, I would imagine. So could you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, well, I first got infected in March. There wasn't any tests available apart from if you were hospitalised or frontline patients. So the first one wasn't actually verified, but I can tell from the symptoms of my first one to the symptoms I got in October last year, they were exactly the same. Basically, I had a fortnight where I was sweating, hot, cold. I didn't know what day it was. Absolutely delirious almost. That was in March. And then 3 months, I was breathless. But with the nice weather, I managed to sit out in the garden, whether getting the extra vitamin D helped me. But I got over it in about 3 months. By then, I was still furloughed. So I managed to take it easy. I went back to work about September time. So I took some holidays beginning of October, started feeling poorly again, did a test and tested positive. And I went through 2 weeks of hell like I did back in March. A couple of days feeling better after that. And then I was crawling hands and knees to the bathroom, couldn't shower, couldn't really walk up the stairs without sitting down for a rest. It's seriously affected me gastrointestinal. I've been seeing the doctor for months and months. I've tried all sorts of different therapies, even had a colonoscopy, which showed everything was fine, but it's not cured. I can go to the toilet between 10 and 15 times a day with no warning. So that obviously causes problems if I try and go out of the house to get exercises. There have been issues where I've had to go home and do a lot of washing. It's not very nice to talk about. It's very embarrassing. If I own up to it, it might help somebody. I'm on inhalers. I'm on amitriptyline for nerve pain, cocodamol for general pain. I'm on 7 different vitamins, which luckily Dr. Val put me in the right order. She set me straight on what I should be taking and what I shouldn't. Basically now, I'm very similar to Paul. I'm frightened of doing anything. And we've got a big garden. I'm frightened to go out in it. When you crash and burn, it's awful. I'm sure Paul will agree with me. When you hit that wall, you feel like death.
So could you please tell how your daily routine looks like now?
My daily routine depends how I feel. I'm in bed most of the day. I stay in bed till probably about 4 o'clock. Get up, have a shower. I've actually got a plastic stool in the shower because sometimes I can't stand up long enough to shower myself. So I sit down, have a shower, and I go up to my room, relax. I've got to have a good 3/4 of an hour after my shower before I can even think about having tea. So I will have my tea, spend a bit of time with the family, and then it's bedtime, start again. I can almost put it down to I've got a bowler hat at the side of my bed with loads of different symptoms on a piece of paper. And when I wake up in the morning, I put my hand in that bowler hat, pull a symptom out, and that seems to be how I'm going to be that day. It's changing daily. I was so poorly last weekend with the sweat and the fever, basically not knowing what day it was. I actually went and had another COVID test because I thought I'd got it again, but I was negative.
So question to both of you. It's clearly that you got this severe long COVID symptoms, which ruined your daily routines. Now, have you been seen by long COVID clinic specialists to discuss these issues, or at least have you been referred to these long COVID clinics that we are having around the UK. Paul, could you tell your experience with seeing a doctor and being referred to long COVID clinics?
Currently been in contact with the GP, the practicality as well of having 6 certificates. So every 4 weeks I have a telephone consultation. I have been referred to for a chest x-ray. I have had a few blood tests because of my underlying previous condition of arthritis. I think the GP is she's referred me to rheumatology, but it seems that they're focusing on just ruling that out as something that's underlying, has triggered, the pain, and the fatigue. And the long COVID, the conversations I've had is that there is a waiting list of up to 6 months. Currently, I'm kind of left dangling, really.
Neil, what is your experience with long COVID clinics?
I haven't been referred. I believe I haven't got one in the Manchester area where I'm from, but I have got quite a good GP. It's a long waiting list to see him, but he has been very supportive. He sent me I'll give you a list of all the tests I've had: 2 x-rays, CT scan from my neck down, colonoscopy, 2 ultrasounds of liver, kidney, and one of my foot, which I've got a problem with veins. I've done countless blood tests. I have sent quite a few stool samples in that have been tested. I've had a colonoscopy, like I've said. Currently waiting for MRI scan, but luckily my doctor's been very supportive.
Thank you very much for sharing your stories. We're gonna try and fight for every life that has been ruined by coronavirus. Thank you for joining me today. Bye.